Hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for liking my videos and subscribing to my channel. I do appreciate it. Here I am walking in Cebu City in the Philippines, and I'm going to bring you another Villages News video. I did read this article on the villages-news.com, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this. And the title of the article is, "The AAC Committee is to hold the long-awaited meeting on future amenity fees." And they are going to hold a meeting on Tuesday, February 18th at the Savannah Center. And I recommend, if you are in the Villages, that you attend that meeting, because they are going to discuss some interesting topics. They're going to review the financial information of the AAC budgets, as well as the project-wide budgets as well. Let's take a walk and talk about it. Here I am standing outside McDonald's, and there is the Philippines version of Ronald McDonald. Let's take a walk and talk about this AAC meeting. The news article goes like this: "The Amenity Authority Committee will hold its long-awaited meeting on the future of amenity rates. The AAC will hold a special workshop at 9 a.m. Tuesday, February 18th at the Savannah Center. The public is invited to attend." And because they're calling it a workshop, that means they are going to do a deeper dive into the topics. And I encourage all of you to attend that meeting. The AAC committee will re-examine the interlocal agreement that was created in the year 2007 at the time the AAC was set up. The AAC will take a hard look at its finances, as well as a look at the finances of its sister organization to the south, the Project-Wide Advisory Committee. In addition, the AAC will discuss the possibility of restoring a cap or deferral rate on amenities paid by residents. In the year 2019, the Amenity Authority Committee, which oversees amenities north of County Road 466, and the Project-Wide Advisory Committee, which oversees amenities south of County Road 466, both voted to remove the cap on amenity fees. The cap had previously been set at $155 per month. As of January 1st, the prevailing rate, that is the rate paid by purchases of new homes and resales of the Villages homes, increased to $199. So let's talk about the amenities and how the Villages has the amenities set up. They essentially break the amenities into two major groups. The first group is amenities north of County Road 466. They are overseen by a committee called the Amenities Authority Committee. The funding for those amenities is in a governmental fund called the RAD Fund, the Recreation Amenities Division Fund. And a lot of residents confuse the committee names with the funding source. To the south of County Road 466, you have the Project-Wide Advisory Committee. That is a committee of individuals. I believe it's 10 or 12 board members It's one board member from each residential district. And that committee oversees 3 separate funds. It's the project-wide fund. They oversee the SLAD SLAD fund, which is the Sumter Landing Amenities Division Fund. And they oversee the fitness fund. That's a fund that really holds the dollars for the fitness clubs in the villages that you pay a monthly fee for. But the primary fund and the large fund that the project-wide advisory committee oversees is called the SLAD fund, SLAD, Sumter Landing Amenities Division Fund. That's where most of the dollars are stored, and that's where most of the funding comes out of for those amenities south of County Road 466. And I wanted to discuss those 2 different funds, which is the RAD fund north of 466 and the SLAD fund south of 466. The RAD fund is approximately $78.2 million each year. And for the fiscal year 23, they had capital expenditures of $908,000. Most of those capital expenditures were for executive golf course maintenance, $639,000 in the fiscal year 23 was budgeted for executive golf course maintenance. Over the last 5 years in the RAD fund, executive golf course maintenance comprised of $2.6 million. The RAD fund does have a fund balance, and this is something that all residents in the villages should start to understand. These are the reserves that these funds hold, and most of these funds have sizable fund balances. In the RAD fund, which is amenities north of 466, they have a $21 million working capital balance at the end of fiscal year 23. They also have a $22 million general repair and reserves fund. So they have approximately $43 million of reserves. That's only in the Recreation and Amenities Division Fund for those assets north of 466. They also have a settlement reserve of $15.2 million. So if you add those up, you have $58 million or so of reserve funds in the RAD fund located north of 466. And that has been a topic of discussion over the last several years. A lot of the board members are discussing what exactly is the proper amount of reserve balances that the villages should keep in these respective governmental funds. And during the budget season, there's a lot of discussion about how to finance some of these expenditures. Some board members want to finance expenditures by raising amenity rates. Some want to use reserves from their fund balances and leave the rates lower. And I think that is going to be some of the discussion that's going to be held at Tuesday's meeting when the AAC committee meets at the Savannah Center. And I strongly encourage each and every one of you to attend and voice your opinion. Now to discuss the project-wide advisory committee that's known as the PWAC. That is a committee of people, one board member from each residential district south of County Road 466. The PWAC has a $120 million budget each year. That is actually in the Sumter Landing Amenity Division Fund. It's called the SLAD Fund. The SLAD Fund has $110 million annual budget. $14 million per year is expended on bond interest expense in the SLAD Fund. The SLAD Fund, which is overseen by the Project-Wide Advisory Committee, and which is the major fund that funds most of the amenities south of County Road 466. The SLAD Fund has a $110 million expenditure budget. It also has reserves of $30 million in working capital. They also have a general repair and replacement reserve of $27 million. So you can see that these amenity funds do have healthy reserve balances. And every year, discussion is held on how to finance some of these projects, especially the one-time projects. Do you use reserve balance? Do you increase amenity fees? Keep in mind, I did a video about 5 days ago about the villages selling amenity assets to the Project-Wide Advisory Committee, essentially the SLAD Fund. Those assets cost $258 million. And the title of this article is whether the AAC committee is going to recommend putting a cap on the amenity fees or a deferral rate. Now, if you remember that video I did 5 days ago about the sale of the amenities, part of the analysis they used to come up with a valuation for those assets was to look at the revenue streams. The revenue stream is your monthly amenity fees. Their analysis and their assumptions in that analysis to value those assets was that the amenity fees would increase each year by 2.5%. And I'm using that as logic to indicate that I don't think the developer or the district or even the AAC or the PWAC boards are going to vote to implement a cap, for the simple fact that they are assuming the amenity fees will increase 2.5% each year. So I don't think when the AAC committee meets on Tuesday, I have a very strong feeling that they are not going to recommend placing a cap on the amenity fees. And that is pretty much the discussion that happens almost every year during the budget cycle, is that these committees meet and they decide whether to put caps on these amenity fees, how to finance certain projects. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the budgeting process for the amenity funds. I wanted to give you an overview of what these committees are responsible for. And I wanted to give you my opinion of the likelihood of the committees voting to place a cap on the amenity fees or a deferral rate, especially with all of the expansion and construction going on in the south. There are going to be more and more assets that need to be purchased. And if you don't keep increasing amenity fees, those fund balances, although they are healthy, are not large enough to pay for all of these assets. Also leave in the comments below what you feel the appropriate amount of reserves are to be kept in these individual governmental funds. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I hope I gave you some food for thought. And I hope you consider attending those meetings and voicing your opinion. It's a beautiful day in the Philippines, 35 degrees Celsius. It's warm, it's sunny. It's time to go to the beach. What are you waiting for? White sandy beaches are here in the Philippines. Have a good day. Take care. Stay safe, everyone.